This video covers any key events that happened over the course of the week upon TemTem's release. These are facts and otherwise void of my opinion. I made this video to be informative and comedic. Nonetheless, viewer discretion is advised. Alright, so it's a Tuesday and people are excited to finally play this game that has been hyped up a lot. But for some of us, we knew that this was going to be a crazy release. And for me to potentially make the best analogy I can, imagine you're back in middle school and it's lunchtime. You go to the cafeteria and you realize it's Pizza Monday and you get excited and rush to get in line. But everyone else is rushing too, so now you're in the back of the line, frustrated and hungry for the pizza. Things aren't exactly going to plan and you're visibly upset and feel a sense of entitlement despite the fact that you're on free lunch. And that's pretty much how launch went. Servers were crap and couldn't support the wave of players, and there just wasn't enough pizza for everyone. This made a lot of people really upset because the game was practically unplayable. They couldn't get on, and even if you were able to get on, their servers were so fried by so many players that you would disconnect immediately upon getting in. So pretty much it was like, for those who got the pizza, they soon grasped the situation and realized that it wasn't Mountain Mike's pizza, but it was school lunch. And that is pretty much how it went for your TemTem launch. And in less than 24 hours, version 0.5.2 comes in. This patch's aim was to fix a lot of the bugs that practically broke the game. It also aimed to help players connect to the servers, but alas, that didn't go as planned since version 0.5.3 came in shortly after that same day. Although the aim of the patch was to make cooperative play, well, playable, the version 0.5.3 was to come in and sort of remedy the situation. Also, note that by this time, the servers were not nearly as bad since release day, but were still relatively bad, and by relatively I mean they were still pretty bad. It was so bad that even the developer of the game said the game was unstable, and if you were unwilling to wait for it to become stable, you were allowed to request a refund through Steam. But you know, how could you request a refund when you already started eating the pizza and you want to finish the pizza? At this point, it was looking bad, but the resident coding guru came in and pulled off a miracle for us pizza lovers. The servers were beginning to support more than 20k players, whereas on release day, the servers would break at 20k. A few hours later, surprise, surprise, version 0.5.4 comes and makes an appearance. This patch aimed to tackle a lot of the bugs present within the game. Additionally, things were looking up as the servers were looking fine, people were able to play, and the number of hotfixes began to decline as the game started to age. At this time, speed demons were practically done with the early access of the game and started doing the post-game. And I'm adding this part because it's going to become important later, so speed demons. Maybe because it was Friday, that's when like almost every YouTuber that tried this game made a review and published it, you know, except me, because well, the game was only out for like 3 days, and so I don't know how you can articulate an accurate review of an early access game, but you know, maybe that's why I have like no subs. But seriously, it seemed like most of the reviews were rather mixed. Some loved it, some hated it, and some just didn't care and were upset that Pokemon had paid DLC. But no patches came in this day, and there were only a small number of hotfixes, so maybe the game was looking rather healthy now, and looked like it was about to be making a turn. Or so I thought, and then that's when version 0.5.5 came in, like, well, a wrecking ball. And oh boy, it was a doozy in the Discord when this patch went live. Like, I was having so much fun when this patch came out live, because it really was a doozy in that Discord. So I'm calling this patch the death patch. The devs decided that breeding was too cheap or inexpensive, and this may be due in part because of the speed demons that were able to essentially achieve perfectly bred TemTem in under 10 hours. And for those who aren't aware, players were already building an affordable market in the Discord, Reddit, and potentially any other social interaction platforms by just day 3. And this led to an outrage since the market couldn't sustain the price jump, and people began to sell their TemTem at a higher value, because if you didn't raise the value of the TemTem, you couldn't afford to breed because breeding became more expensive. And due to the lack of stability to earning money in the game, no one could afford anything, and thus the market began to crash. This is like Econ 101. And it crashed fast. Like I'm saying, that same day, it just crashed. But on the bright side, 35k users with no problems, so yay. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, there are still many bugs in this game, but we won't be touching on them for the time being. Now, it didn't take long for players to find some method of make fast cash in the game. I love this part. Side note, I made a video covering this method, or well, exploit, as you know, it was an exploit. It was an exploit. So if you want a further explanation on what that exploit was or what that method was, there will be a link in the description that would take you there. But in short, players were able to catch a certain TemTem called Tuwai, and late in the game that player could evolve it by going up to a shrine, so it wasn't like a level grinding evolution, it was just go to some crystal and click it, and then once you click it, that TemTem would evolve, and then that player would be able to release that TemTem and make cash through it through the free Tem organization. And I know that sounds like super confusing to I know that sounds super confusing to players that aren't familiar to this game, and it all sounds like jargon. So I'll be like defining a lot of everything I'm saying in the description as well, so that way you can understand it. But essentially, the Free Tem organization is just some hippy dippy activist group that hates the idea of you catching TemTem and making them battle. So they want you to release it because they think that's the solution, and then they're gonna pay you for releasing them. I don't get it, but that's what it is. And so this specific TemTem netted you a lot of money, so players could farm money like insanely quick. This method was so effective to that while players were earning as little as 1k an hour farming, this method could get you 2 to 3k within 5 minutes if you were like lucky enough. And it didn't take long for the devs to catch on and quickly kill that bird. And I mean killed it. They came in and just cut it. And now, of course, a lot of players were upset, but what made them really upset was the tweet they made following these sort of solutions. Using exploits can get a player banned. And the reviews were mixed upon seeing that, because on one hand, you have people saying that, you know, like, of course, don't use cheats, hacks, and like macros and stuff, like everyone understands that, but exploits are there because your game isn't entirely fixed, so how can you ban someone for it? And so there was this sort of argument between two groups of thought. But moving on, additionally, the devs were referring to another exploit that allowed players to get an item that was otherwise inaccessible unless you went there with these roller skates, which was an item that you can use to like kind of skate on ice, you know, roller skates. However, as you progress through the story, you lose these skates through an event, and you can't get them back in the current early access of the game. Thus, some players would have this item and some would not. So if you had progressed far enough into the story and never went back to get that item, you would no longer have it in your current early access, and there was no way for you to get it unless you did the exploit that someone discovered. And with these two exploits that were essentially fixed, and the responses ranged from good to, you're telling me this item that literally inhibits you from accessing parts of the map is left out and an intended purpose by the devs? And if it isn't, how is this problem that's been in the game since day one not fixed, and the bird problem was fixed within 6 hours? Needless to say, people were outraged and it was not looking good. We are now coming up on Monday, and as I began working on this video, I got a notification that the next patch, version 0.5.6, was coming in. And if you look at this patch, nothing really changes where the game is at now. Just, you know, of course, the bug fixes that I've been sort of avoiding because I didn't feel like they were too important, and some other, of course, like some more co-op fixes because, well, the game is, you know, still in early access, so of course this was just to be expected. And like I said before, this patch doesn't really change the current state of the game. Roughly less than 50% of the game is playable in its current form of early access. Most game-breaking bugs that were discovered have been fixed, and co-op is running relatively smoothly from my time of testing it. I appreciate you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I plan to upload a lot more TemTem content, and I'm super excited for what the future of this game holds. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked this video and shared it with your friends, family, or your family dog, or random dog, or cat, or your fish, or whatever other pet you may have, or if you're petless. That's why I said friends and family. Post it in the Discords and get yourself banned. Do whatever it takes to share this video because I'm trying to get them views. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and opinions of the game, so go ahead and comment them below, and I'm excited to see anyone that ends up flaming you. And lastly, make sure you subscribe because I want to reach 1K subs. It was my New Year's resolution, and if I don't reach that New Year's resolution, I don't know if I can go on to the next year. But nonetheless, take care, stay toasty, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out!